Atom. You are welcome to our PVS Agricultural Science class. Our topic for today, we are through with our scheme, and today we are going into revisions. And our topic for today is on cultural practices, which will help us in our junior WAEC practicals. At the end of the lesson, I expect every one of us to be able to define for me cultural practices. 2. Should be able to list the types of practices and explain each one of them. 3. Be able to mention the various cultural practices that is being carried out on each practices. 4. I expect everyone to be able to explain the benefit of each cultural practice that we carry out in our farm. Coming to the definition of cultural practices and the types of cultural practices we have. We explain cultural practices to be all the operations carried out in the farm right from the beginning of the farming season to the end of the farming season. Correctly, from the day farming season started, the day you pick a farm to farm on, till the day you harvested the crops that you planted on that farm is what we refer to as cultural practices. We have different levels or types of cultural practices, which we divide them into 3, which is the pre-planting operations, planting operations, and the post-planting operations. What do we mean by the planting operations? When we are talking about planting operations, we are talking about, in pre-planting operations, we are talking about those activities or operations that we carry out in the farm before actual planting of these crops. And what are these activities? 1. Selecting of site. 2. Surveying of the soil and land measurement, which is estimation. 3. Bush clearing. 4. Stumping. 5. Plotting or farm layout. And 6 is tillage. Now, coming to explain them one after the other. In site selection, a suitable site with best soil is selected for cross production, bearing in mind the type of crops to be planted, factor to be when we are on this, for you to have in mind the crops that we are going to plant there, then this will help you to be able to select a good site. What are the factors that to consider when selecting a site? Now, 1, you consider nearness to the dwelling place of the farmer. You are not going to live in a jungle and be doing your farm work in Ikorodu. If you check the distance from here to Ikorodu in the morning, before you get to the farm is almost at afternoon. How much hours will you use to do some work before you start coming back home? You find out that the distance is not a barrier for you to carry out your farming activities. Therefore, when you are choosing a farm, choose a farm close to where you are living. We students, as we are now students, for we to choose our school farm, we are to choose a school farm that is close, nearness to our school, in order to make it available for us to be able to go to the farm when we wish to go and come back and still carry out our other school activities. 2. Nearness to access or motorable road. It will be easy for us if there is a motorable access to take our farming materials to the farm, and also during harvesting to be able to bring back all that we have harvested back to the market. 3. Availability of labor. If you are working in Ajegunle and for you to get laborers to help you to carry out some working activities, you have to go to Ikotun to get them. You find out that you are bound to spend more money, and you might not be able to get them when you need them. Therefore, you have to put into consideration nearness, availability of laborers when you are choosing kind of cropping activities to carry out in a farm. Nearness to market. We should choose a place that will be easy for us to market our farm products so that they will not spoil before us getting to market. Nearness to water supply. We are not Our weather is not predictable, therefore whatever farming operations you are to carry out, there must be available supply of water in case the nature changes and there's too much dryness in the atmosphere. Source of power. Depending on what you are working on, the kind of farming activities you are carrying out, there must be source of power. Source of power in the sense of fuel in order to carry out your tractors and other things. Good soil condition. Good soil condition. On the good soil condition, remember we said that the best soil for agriculture is loamy soil, and if there's no loamy soil available, you must make sure that you have other organic manure or inorganic manure in order to supplement the soil to make it fertile, in order for you to be able to carry out all your farming activities. Still on the pre-planting operations, we have explained the site selection. We are going into surveying of the soil. To estimate a new farm, considerations of the size, the soil survey and the land estimation should be carried out on the proposed parcel or plot of land. The soil evaluation is carried out to ascertain whether the soil is suitable for cross production or not. Remember, if it's not suitable for soil crop production, you can equally use the same soil for your animal production. Then the third one, which is bush clearing. After the selection of sites or land for cultivation has been done, the next step is to clear the vegetations in preparation of tillage operation and planting. The next step is to clear the vegetation in preparation for tillage operations and planting. There are two major ways to clear the bush. One is by slashing the bush and then setting the debris on fire. The second method is by the use of machines such as bulldozers, tree pushers, etc. Whichever method is used, it is to be ensured that there is minimum distribution of the top soil, since most of the nutrients needed for plant growth are stored in the top soil. But remember, using bush burning to clear soil is not the best method, because bush burning destroys the microorganisms that live in the soil. Remember that these microorganisms are very useful to us during the process of planting. 4. Stumping. Sometimes after bush clearing, some roots remain hidden in the soil. If these root stumps are not removed, they can prevent the roots of cultivated crops from penetrating into the soil for nutrient uptake. Good tuber formation may also be hidden. For this reason, stumping is carried out. Stumping is the removal of stumps right from the base of their roots. This operation is labor consuming, and it is commonly practiced on large and mechanized farms, not on small farms. The operations can be carried out manually by using cutlass, digging mattock or axe, or mechanically by the use of stumper or root cutters or bulldozers. 5. Plotting or farm layout. The farm should be laid out into rectangular plots or field by using the method of 3-4-5 method. Requirements for 3-4-5 methods are layout are listed, in the sense that you use a triangular form to measure it. in a situation that you should be 3, 4, 5 cm. In this situation, this will help you to divide the farm into subdivisions or plots and parts, which will now help you in planting your crops, especially if it's in a mixed farming system that you are using. The last one, which is the tillage operation. After the bush has been cleared and the stump removed, there is the need for the soil to be prepared before seeds or seedlings are planted. This is why tillage is done. Tillage is the manipulations of soil either manually by using hoe or mechanical by using plow, harrow or ridgers. What are the advantages of tilling the soil? 1. Tilling helps in soil aeration and water percolations. It helps in improving the soil aeration and water percolations. 2. Weeds and other crops residues are buried for proper decomposition. 3. It helps to destroy the egg and adult insect pest. Remember in your JS3 when we treated weed, we said one of the method of controlling weed is by tilling the soil weed and pest is by tilling the soil very well. 4. Proper tillage helps the roots of plants to penetrate better in the soil. 5. Ridging encourages good tuberalization. 6. Topsoil is mixed with subsoil during the process of tillage. 7. Excessive tillage leads to the following disadvantages. We need to till the soil, but in excess tillage it might still lead to some disadvantages which we are going to list below, which leads us to disadvantages of tillage. 1. Compaction of soil if heavy machines are used. 2. Destruction of soil structures. 3. Encouraging soil erosion. We have different methods in which we can till the soil, which can be carried out either by plowing, which we call the primary tillage, harrowing, which is a secondary tillage, and ridging, which is also a secondary tillage. Coming to them one after the other, we define our plowing. This is the turning over of the soil by using hoe or tractor mounted disc or board plow. In this case, the large lumps or clouds of soil are formed. On harrowing, this is carried out after plowing, and in this case, the large cloud or lumps of soil formed during plowing are broken down to obtain fine teeth. It is carried out by using this harrow. Harrowing helps to bury weeds further. 2. It helps in producing fine teeth substances for plant growth. The third one is ridging, which is also a secondary tillage. After harrowing, the next operation is ridging. This is the gathering of the harrowed soils together to form ridges. Hoes can be used as well as these ridgers or board ridgers. It is very important to make ridges or mounds, as the case may be, for tubers and roots. Example, yam and cassava. Ridging is important because of the following. 1. It helps to increase the depth of loose soils so that the roots can spread easily. 2. Tubers and root crops as well as crops with underground ponds like groundnuts can be harvested easily if they are planted on ridges. 3. Seed beds are raised above water level in water-logged areas. 4. Helps to control erosion in steep areas by making the ridges across the slopes. 5. It makes mechanized weed control possible. It makes mechanized weed possible. Then, after the making of ridges, we now come to planting, and this will now lead us to the end of pre-planting operation. Remember, we define pre-planting operations as the method or the operations carried out in order to prepare the land for planting. Remember, on this, we started from selecting the soil, clearing the soil, tilling them. Now the soil is now ready for planting. We are now through with our pre-planting operations. Evaluation. Define for me cultural practice. Remember, we define our cultural practices as the practices we carried out in the farm from the beginning of the rainy season, planting of crops, till the period where those plants are being harvested. List the different levels of cultural practices in the farm. Pre-planting operations, which is the operations we carried out before planting. Planting operations, which is the operations we carried out during planting. And post-planting operation, which is the operations we carried out after planting. State 4 factors to be considered when selecting a site. When you are to select a site, you must be able to make sure that you have to put certain things into, such as nearness to the dwelling place of the farmer, nearness to market, nearness to access or motorable road, availability of labor, nearness to water supply, source of power, and good soil condition, and even the topography or shape of the soil should also be considered. Assignment. List the 4 planting operations and discuss any 3. 2. In cultivation of vegetable, list pre-planting operations to be carried out. Remember that we have listed most planting operations, their advantages, and the reasons why we need to carry them out. Now, if you are to plant a vegetable such as garden egg, list the planting operations, pre-planting operation in which you are to be carried out before these activities are to be done. Thank you, and see you in our next class.